Oh? I didn't think I would see you here.
Are these two your friends?
Yes. We had the fortune of meeting not too long ago. They are quite a knowledgeable and talented pair, and a pleasure to be around. Traveler, we were just discussing the history of Rεsεяvαdσs.
This, good sir, seems not to appreciate the almighty power of the Lord of Geo. We are discussing the whereabouts of the first Mora.
The first Mora?
As everyone knows, the Lord of Geo taught the ancient people of Liyue the craft of smelting, creating goods that allowed them to develop trade with the early nations of that time. Today, Liyue holds the sole right to cast Mora in the entire continent of Teyvat. The world's very first Mora should have been cast.
According to my research, as well as my own hypothesis, I believe that this coin of unique historical significance, for example, perhaps the Tσdσs who control the Liyue use it in some kind of unknown ceremony they hold with—
No. My research indicates that the first Mora is a catalyst. This we all know. Even today, the world's first Mora would no doubt possess the strongest power. My next historical treatise, that is, that the Lord of Geo used this original Mora as a catalyst to enhance—
A dagger and a sword?
Well, buy the book when it comes out to read the full story. For now, I will only reveal this. The one who finds the dagger—
I can't say I agree. Let us not speak of the authenticity of the dagger and sword first. Rεsεяvαdσs just meant for Mora to serve as a catalyst for people to exchange and trade. The world's first Mora is probably just an ordinary coin created by Rεsεяvαdσs. As for its fate—
I think that Mr. Hansua's hypothesis seems reasonable.
No, I am not debating right or wrong. I am—
Enough! Do you think you understand the Lord of Geo more than me?
I know but little about history, and I wouldn't dare to brag.
Well then, answer me this. Long ago, when Liyue Harbor was being constructed, the Lord of Geo taught the people how to build houses. The model home he used to teach them was completely cast from Mora, correct?
That is correct, indeed.
Okay, then tell me. Why would the Lord of Geo do something so extravagant, if not because of the mystical power that—
There's a simple explanation, really. To the god of wealth and commerce, what material is easier to get than Mora? I mean, I am—
Excuse me, sir. I have some questions about archaeology.
Oh, it's no problem at all. But may my friend accompany us?
Of course. They can come if that's what pleases you, sir. What I'm about to say is a bit disrespectful of the Lord of Geo and would draw a lot of angry looks. Your argument just now exhibited acuteness of speech and thought. Most importantly, you don't fall for the boasting and acting of the others. You remain objective. So I have a question for you. Perhaps you will answer differently from other scholars. Do you think that all the gods that the—
Let's not analyze it in terms of good versus evil. Rεsεяvαdσs placed great importance on the integrity of contracts. So any gods he killed certainly must have broken some kind of contract.
Right! The Lord of Geo wouldn't kill the innocent.
But when I was doing some research, I learned about the legend of the god of salt. The god of salt, Havria, was a very kind god. But she encountered Morax one day in back. Morax used a rather underhanded trick to—
What? No way!
This bit of history is a long story.
Don't worry, please tell me what you know. This event, I've already searched for answers.
No, it's just—
Over here! Mr. Zhongli! I've been looking for you.
Put down your weapon and stay back!
First of all, I'm not holding a weapon. There's no need to overreact now. I'm simply an archaeological researcher from Snezhnaya.
The Fatui say that every time!
But this time, I registered with the Liyue Ministry of Civil Affairs. I could show you the official document. I will be conducting an archaeological survey here, the results of which will all be shared with... I heard that Wangsheng Funeral Parlor had a consultant named Zhang Li, with immense knowledge of ancient history and archaeology. So I paid Wangsheng Funeral...
So you mean to say that this is work for the Wangsheng Funeral Parlor, yes? Well, since it's work, I don't have a choice.
Of course you would be such a reasonable man.
Wait, if you were studying archaeology, can I go too?
That will give us a chance to continue the topic we were just discussing. Oh, and you should tag along too. This experience may be of help to you. It is a story from before the rise of the Seven. Although the god of salt
Wait, this is an archaeological expedition, not a tour group.
But this friend of mine has a treasure-finding talent. Surpassed...
Oh? What?
If my friend espies a treasure chest...
Hey, Paimon's good at that too!
Well, that is quite Well, let's go. There's no time to waste. When the Overlord of the Vortex was crushed by the Jade Chamber recently, an ancient artifact would be good. Traces of ancient activity would be great. But a piece of the gods'
Off we go!
This place looks so ordinary. Can we really find anything valuable here?
Huh? Paimon thinks it looks really grand.
I don't mean the scenery, but rather that there should be something out of the ordinary. A big battle did just occur.
Guyan Stone Forest is actually the perfect place to be, if you wish to learn about the gods. Legend has it that Rεsεyvαdσs threw spears made of large rock into the sea here, piercing and after many years of wind erosion, those stone spears have turned into the unique rock formations we see now.
These mountains were the Lord of Geo's weapons?
What we see now is just the part of them that remains. The stone spears hurled by Rεsεyvαdσs all those years, but due to the different angles they landed at, their large centers of mass, erosion by seawater, and so besides wind erosion, the initial collapsing of the stone spears also played a big part.
Well, a god able to fight one so powerful as Rεsεyvαdσs was certainly very...
Indeed. This is where the value lies in research at Guyan. Most of the objects from that time were lost to the sea. But
so you're saying that if we look carefully, we'll be able to get very, very rich. I mean, rich with archaeological knowledge and historical value. Yeah. Well, since we brought so many people, I think it would be best to split up and look.
Okay then. I will go with my friend here. Although I have a smattering of knowledge...
Huh? Me?
What's the matter? This is your profession. Why are you so surprised?
I get it. I'll escort him then.
Okay. If we find anything valuable... The ancient god probably left behind lots of elemental marks. Following them should make our search much easier.
Well, go ahead then. Use your elemental sight to look for any marks.
Let me scry. Let's light it up. Delve into death. Into the wind.
Why are there enemies here?
Guyan Stone Forest is a place where a god was defeated, and its remnants still affect the area to this day. that object in the center. Perhaps it emits the remnant strength of the god. That would certainly attract them. The hydromimic monsters. I have a contract, and must put my personal feelings aside. Go ahead. Defeat them, and recover the relic.
Adorn my knight!
It's just a stone slab, but its design is quite unique. This should be enough to garner some information. Let's head back.
You call yourself a scholar of archaeology? You can't even recognize this or that. What are you good for?
We all have our areas of expertise. I already tried very hard to explain.
Oh, stop arguing! What in the world happened?
This girl just keeps bragging about how she's an archaeologist, but she doesn't even know anything about the surrounding ruins. I even know more than her. She left me to rely solely on guessing, experience, to find anything valuable to take back.
I've just been researching the God of Salt, so I'm not familiar with sea relics. Is that so strange? And you kept asking about how much Mora everything is worth. Can the value of relics only be measured?
Isn't measuring their value in Mora the easiest way?
Now, calm down. No need to make a fuss. We were able to bring back some intriguing objects. Oh, what a shame. These objects were indeed washed ashore by the Overlord of the Vortex. But they have nothing to do. The stone slab we found, however, has a mysterious pattern and faint aura of divine power.
Quick, give it to me. At least we didn't come for nothing. The power of the gods, yes! Oh, but these other objects are certainly worth a little something, right? It should be enough to cover the cost of hiring you. It's all mine.
So, it's only valuable for research if there are remnants of divine power on it?
Not at all. My quest to uncover the history of the God of Salt is because history can tell us about... But you? You're just trying to use archaeology to get rich.
Nonsense! I'm a professional archaeology researcher from Snezhnaya. I swear, if I'm lying, may the Lord of Geo strike me down.
Oh, by the way, you probably don't want to sell that teacup.
Oh? Why's that?
That's not an ancient teacup. It's part of Ningguang's collection. It must have fallen here along with the Jade Chamber. So unless you want to mess with the
I see. What a shame.
See? You do want to sell these objects!
But, so what? Why can't I pursue wealth both intellectual and material? Don't be... All right, then. No need to stay here any longer. I'm right. I heard that Salterai was once the home of the God of Salt's people. Therefore...
According to legend, the people of the God of Salt, Havria, enjoyed prosperous lives under her protection. But this legend has been around for ages. With the countless scrap collectors and treasure hoarders in the area, there probably aren't many valuable things.
Oh, good. That's just great. If I knew it was picked this clean before, I wouldn't have come.
About that, I know there's a ruin deep in this cave here. It's related to... However, the ruin entrance has been sealed by a mysterious power. Nobody has... I found a mechanism that seemed to be related to the seal, but when I undid the mechanism, the seal wasn't affected at all. So at the moment, the seal's origin and how to break it are very important topics in my research on the god of salt. I don't know, there's no concrete evidence, but I'm pretty sure the seal is meant to hide some kind of long-forgotten truth. The god of salt was a benevolent god, adored by the people, not to mention powerful. She wouldn't have any kind of shameful secrets to hide. So, the one who wants to hide some truth is very possibly her killer, Morax.
This doesn't sound like something the Lord of Geo would do, though.
Who cares about all that? It sounds like countless treasures of the god of salt lie within this ruin, just waiting for someone to find them, right?
You weren't listening at all, were you? Even if there's a mountain of treasures inside...
Ah, but we have the illustrious Mr. Zhongli with us. He looks like he knows just about everything. A little seal.
This seal seems to be quite ancient. Even Mr. Zhongli may not know all of its secrets.
I may know something about it.
What?
Over the years, I've heard various rumors with bits of knowledge about seals. Although their references seem rather disorderly, they do in fact Let's go take a look at the mechanism Miss Wanyan just mentioned.
Okay, since Mr. Zhongli says so, follow me then. Here it is. There's some debris scattered here that, when put together, look like they definitely had to do with the god of salt. According to the inscription on the side, if one looks from a certain angle, the secret to the mechanism will be revealed. See that? Although we activated the mechanism, nothing happened to the seal.
That's because there's actually another mechanism that must be activated.
Another? This place seems familiar. Huh, I remember. I think there's some elemental monuments here. When I investigated the seal last time, I had someone with a vision accompany me. But when we lit up all the elemental monuments...
That's because you don't just need to activate them at the same time, but in a certain order as well. The secret to this puzzle is hidden in the legends about the Archon War. Tianheng in the south, Yaoguang in the east, Jueyun in the west, Qingce in the north. All desolate and devoid of life. Liyue is vast, yet even one haven is hard to find.
To the north, to the east. Do the people of Liyue always...
Certainly you have. And the contents of this saying are to provide a haven for her people, whose lives had been ravaged by the Archon War. At that time, with the chaotic fires of war engulfing the land, even one sliver of peace was a luxury. And that haven she eventually found is right here. Today, it is known as Tsurai.
How sad then. In the end, this peaceful place was destroyed by Morax.
Okay, enough with these ancient stories. Now that we have the clue, hurry up and break the seal. Whatever happened doesn't matter as long as we can get inside.
Tianheng in the south, Yaoguang in the east, Jueyun. With this clue, you should be able... Let me lead the way from here. Tianheng in the south, Yaoguang in the east, Jueyun in the west, Qingce in the north. The directions are the clue. Give it another try.
mistaken. Mr. Zhongli is indeed quite remarkable.
It was nothing, really. Now, it's time that people learn the hidden truth lost to time. Before entering the ruin, I have a proposal that will help us prevent the kind of senseless arguing between you two that we saw at Guyenstone Forest.
Okay. What is it?
I propose you two agree upon a contract, stipulating that we alternate who gets claim to each treasure we encounter, with only one object permitted per claim. To show my sincerity, I won't be taking any treasure. This will just be between you all.
Hey! Don't pass an opportunity like this up so—
I don't agree. I mean, you want me to split the treasure with this amateur archaeologist? No, absolutely not.
I don't agree either. He will only defile the precious relics left behind by the god of salt. I can't accept this.
Well then, if the contract is not agreed upon, I will no longer serve as your consultant on this expedition. You will have to rely on your own experience to find whatever treasures are hidden in this ruin, as well as traps.
You have the audacity to demand this. Okay then. Even half of the treasure in the long-sealed ruin of the god of salt should be enough to make a fortune.
If you want me to agree upon this contract, so be it. I just have one request, Mr. Zhongli. If we discover the truth behind the god of salt,
I can accept this arrangement. Well then.
Telling one's written destiny. Over-embellishing that fate only leads to misconception.
are these statues?
No. These are people.
Ugh.
They were probably followers of the god of salt.
How did they become this way?
What in the world is hidden deep in this room? Look at this! It's filled halfway with salt.
It just looks like a fancy salt holder. Seems like the god of salt was a god lacking in treasures.
According to my knowledge, it's no ordinary vessel. Although it is only half full, it is also forever.
What? You're saying that even if I pour the salt out, the amount inside won't change?
Exactly.
Able to produce endless salt. The god of...
Finally. After all that effort, I've found precious I just need to pour the endless salt into 1,000 or 10,000 bags. I can
Hey! How can you use a relic of the god of salt for such a...
If Mr. Clement wants this salt chalice, then the next object we find will belong to Miss Wanyan.
Of course, as we agreed. But how can anything be worth more than this rare find?
Since we have a contract, It's no...
Then let's move on, shall we?
Time to go. One with nature.
Let's light it up!
Crumble! Quake! Crumble! Rise!
Just a simple ruler. Doesn't look to be worth anything.
This, if I remember correctly, this is some kind of measuring tool.
Indeed. But the god of salt imbued it with another power. When you stick this ruler in the ground, the surrounding area will become covered in salt, much like a rising tide covers the earth. The deeper it is stuck in the ground, the more salt will appear. It is essentially a...
What? That's even better than the salt chalice!
Well then, according to our contract, the salt...
No, unacceptable. I paid for and organized this entire expedition. Why should I get the short end of the stick? And this girl has been useless! Why would she get anything?
Oh boy, here we go again.
So you are saying you want to break the contract?
So what if I break it? Now that I've seen how the mechanisms in this ruin work, I no longer need you. Let's not forget who hired who here. Why should I let you make the rules?
Because you agreed to a contract. Rεsεяvαdσs once said, ones who break their
That is one of your Liyue gods. I am from Snezhnaya. I
will suffer the wrath of the rock. You...
I will have order.
Eyes on me! Let me scry.
Wind strike.
I shall confiscate your treasure as well. You are not worthy to continue any further into the ruin. Leave this place.
Oh, darn you! Just you wait.
Some archaeological survey. He could only pretend for so long. Yeah, good thing Paimon can smell a liar from a mile away.
Clement's wrongdoing stemmed from greed, yes. But besides greed, there are many other things that may tempt us to break contracts. When people see the object of their dreams, how many are really able to control their desire? I think we should be honest with each other now.
Huh? Be honest about what?
That in truth, not a single member of this...
Why do you say that?
Miss, you lack even the most basic archaeological knowledge. You aren't interested in archaeology or relics. What you're really interested in is the god of salt. I believe those legends about the god of salt that you mentioned on the...
Okay, that's enough. Sir, you are indeed a man of great knowledge and talents. I seem to have... You're right. I'm not a scholar of archaeology. I come from one of the 8 trades under the jurisdiction of the chief. Our ancestors were those protected by the god of salt all those years ago, when the Archon War engulfed the land in chaos.
Oh, right. Now that you mention it, the people of Liyue...
During the war, Morax assassinated our god out of envy for her power. He left us alone and lost. We hate him. But this is Morax's Liyue after all. So I seek proof of Morax's guilt. He has blood on his hands and cruel... We agreed to a contract that we will face the truth head on, didn't we, Mr. Zhongli? You must...
Naturally, of course. But I must add, Liyue is no longer Morax's. Come with me. All the answers you seek lie ahead.
Follow the wind. The wind knows me. As one with wind and cloud.
Quake! Crumble!
Off we go! Written in the stars!
Into the wind.
Rise!
Let's light it up! Teamwork is dreamwork!
The wind knows me.
Order guide you.
Let's light it up! Fate is upon you!
Into the wind.
This is a sword? Aha! It's a broken sword! This is proof! This proves that the god of salt had to fight back. Fight back against the evil more. The power of this sword surely is much greater than that of the. If we can repair the sword, then we can show the world the mighty power of the god of salt.
It does look like something left behind after being...
2 pieces of a broken sword. From an archaeological perspective, these are 2 separate relics. According to the...
Why? We were alternating claims to treasure, true. But Clement is no longer here.
Yes. But the only one object per claim clause still holds true. You cannot take 2 relics at the same...
This logic!
Zhongli, she seems like a...
When there's a contract, nothing can be allowed to slide. If the contract is not followed, then it is broken.
No! If I only take 1/2, then it can't be repaired, and the power of the god of salt cannot be restored. No matter what, I must be faithful to her. Even if it breaks the contract, I don't care.
So you are already decided? Then the...
Zhongli!
That is to say, you consign yourself to suffer...
That's okay. The god of salt gave up her life to protect her people. Punish me however you want. Just let me take this proof of my faith.
No, you can't hit her!
Perhaps that punishment would be easier for her. But as punishment, I will tell you the truth.
Huh? The truth? You mean the truth is my punishment?
Yes. The truth that I am about to tell you shall be your price to pay. I'm afraid to say that the god of salt, Havria, was not the powerful god you imagine her to be. Rather, she was a small and weak god who yielded to all other gods. When it came to war, she lost.
What?
During the Archon War, the gods of this world used all their strength and cunning to vie, but Havria instead chose to flee. She thought that by giving up before a fight could start, she could save herself and her people from the war. However, during such a long war, there is no end to the advances of aggression. After making countless concessions, Havria lost all of her lands, until only one small haven remained.
No. No.
In her last days, she had not even a single blade to defend her people.
Not even a single blade?
This sword is not a relic belonging to the god of salt.
Murder weapon? No! That's not true! That can't be true!
As I said before, I own...
Preposterous! You are a follower of Morax! Don't try to trick me!
Hey! Come back!
It is a punishment after all. I did not want to tell her such Let's follow her deeper into the ruin. There, I fear.
Are these statue thingies running? What will we find ahead?
Salt. And betrayal.
What are all these? What did they see? What did they do? What happened?
Since you do not trust me, let us continue onward. That which lies beyond this door will show you. This is the scene of the crime. Havria's body dissipated, leaving nothing but these traces of salt. The story continues that some among her people realized at last that this gentle, kind, but weak... The Archon War was cruel in the extreme. Instead of consigning her to the agony of defeat, they thought, perhaps...
What about these statue thingies?
No matter how weak the god, the power that flows forth when they are slain is beyond the strength of mortal coils. Those who could not flee were thus transformed. Those of her people who were untouched by this disaster left for Liyue. Their descendants feared Havria's remnants and lived in terror, so they risked their lives to come here, to break the sword and offer up obeisances in hopes that... But they need not have done so. For how could a god who had never once resisted...
This must be a lie. A false history. Don't you dare try to...
Yikes. Zhongli didn't show any mercy this time either.
This is the price she must pay. Yet I would not call it, judging by how she appeared. I fear that she will struggle for a time. But even if she may not escape that struggle immediately, indeed, in ages past, faith in a god who has already passed will do you no good. So it is for Havria. And so it is for Morax also. All right then.
Huh? What?
Treading old ground. One cannot help but be reminded of old acquaintances.
wind knows me.
Now, I mentioned before that the Adepti have presently handed Liyue over to mortals, and Havria's time was even further in the past. The Salt Chalice and Salt Ruler that she left behind should not return to Liyue. To leave them here is to let them slumber. And it is also a homecoming. I ended an era with my own two hands. History records, but history may be changed. This incident, I need to find a better way of recording history. Stone carvings were one such ancient method, but unchanging stone.
Zhongli.
Therefore, I thought of you, traveler. You are one who crosses the celestial atlas, and who passes through countless worlds. If, as long as a traveler like you is able to record what happened, then a backup of sorts will exist for times and tides of Teyvat.
Sounds like tough work.
Now then, it is time that we consigned both the Salt Chalice and Salt Ruler to the sea.
Huh? Why do we need to throw them into the sea?
As I said before, this includes Osial, Overlord of the Vortex. Thousands of years ago, the Adepti and I fought against the turmoil that plagued every corner of this land. Guyan Stone Forest, where I sealed many gods with my spears. After so long, naught but folk tales remain. Osial, you and I were foes, but our ancient grudge is but a bygone memory now. May that which Havria has left behind be yours to subsume. And thus another spark of divinity departs from Liyue. My legacy shall now be left to those who come after to debate.